Hi, I'm Sandra Bryan Greer, Mrs. Maryland International 2011. I'm on the set of PEP Talk with Rosie Peppy Park. Stay tuned, there's a lot more to come.
So beautiful. Thank you so much for coming to the show.
To be in these places at the time that. So yeah, I'm in the right place at the right time.
Hear what's happening now. I told you the Jamaican accent was going to come out. I'd love to be able to name all the bands, and I can't. But I know I'm going to miss.
You've been called selfless. You've been called kind, loving, all kinds of stuff. We know you're passionate about. Talk about your little 10-month-old son.
Yeah.
Talk about that. Your pride and joy.
I love my son. His name is Jawari, and he was born on Christmas Day. He's one.
Welcome back, everyone. I am joined by the lovely Miss Joelle C. Wright.
Thanks for having me.
Author of Soh We Do It.
Yes.
And for those of you who are watching and do not understand Patois, it means this is how we do it. But we don't say that in Jamaica. We say, what was that?
So we do it.
Soh We Do It. Good job. So, writing bug, when did you get that?
Oh my gosh, I had that when I was a little kid. You know, I was writing parodies and sketches from when I was a small kid. I actually wrote a little parody of Michael Jackson's Beat It, and I called it Eat It. That was before Weird Al came out with his song, right? And sung it to a couple of people after school, and they liked it. And after that, I just started writing a lot of parodies and sketches. Just find something original and just make a satire of it. And I've been doing that since I was a kid.
Okay, you've been doing that since you were a kid, but you just recently published your first book.
Yep.
What took you so long?
Oh my gosh, that's a long story.
Okay.
After college, really, just to cure boredom, I was writing sketches. Something happens in the news, and I would go ahead and put a Jamaican twist to what's happening in the news. For example, the BP oil spill. I had a sketch with the Jamaicans coming here to try to help BP to clean up the oil spill with earweave. You know, a twist like that, right? And the same thing with the Egypt uprising. I had the people in Jamaica going out on the street trying to get Bruce Golding out, the Buju Banton trial, anything that goes on in the news, I would sketch it. In 2009, however, and by the way, the people I write for Jamaicans.com.
Okay.
And that's where I posted most of my work, and people would lift them and send it to their friends. And prior to Facebook and those social media, they will go in emails.
Okay.
But in 2009, I wrote a sketch that had a twist to the news story when Flight 331, the American Airlines, crashed in Jamaica and run off the runway.
Right.
And I came to my office, I'm like, this is a perfect news story to sketch because Jamaicans are in the story and it happened in Jamaica. So I got on my computer and in 15 minutes I wrote the sketch and it went viral. It was all over the place. And from that sketch, people called me up who knew that I wrote it, and they threatened me with bodily harm if I didn't write a book. They're like, it's long time we're telling you to do this, it's time for you to write this book. And they believed in me, and because I saw that they believed in what I did, and it was a unique way of presenting sketches, I said, I got to get serious because these people are behind me 100%, so I got to do it. And I did some research, and I published it in 2010.
Awesome. This is a wonderful book. I'll tell you, I actually read this book on the flight over to England. And I was in first class cracking up. Some serious Jamaican down in the market laugh. Because when you read these stories written in patois, that's how you laugh.
Right.
Because that's the whole colorful nature of the Jamaican language. So a lot of people out there, they have written all kinds of stuff. They want to take it serious. Tell them about the process for you as someone who wanted to pen something and put it out to the masses in the form of a book. What was that process like?
Well, as I said, I self-publish, and that process itself, I wouldn't encourage anybody to publish their own book without doing some research and some homework, some networking, reach out to authors themselves that have self-published. They've gone through some pains, so to alleviate some of that pain, you can reach out to them, and that's what I did. I actually bought a book on self-publishing and took months to read it, write my notes, came up with a plan. I was very resourceful. I didn't have any money, so I went on good old Craigslist and found people to work with me, freelance people. I mean, my photographer is freelance. She said, yeah, man, me just do it for $40. No, nothing. You know what I mean? And look at the artwork. My freelance designer also got from Craigslist, and she's wonderful. She's been with me ever since she'd done this book. So you really have to do some work and be resourceful. There's a lot of people out there who are trying to publish a book, and there are people, equal amount of people, they're ready to take advantage of you. I would say that you have to do your homework, and you have to stay at it, and you have to pound the pavement and get your name out there the best way you can, and be authentic. It's very important, because I already had naysayers already, because the book is in patois. People are like, people don't know how to read patois, and it's only going to be read by Jamaicans, and so those naysayers, you got to just put them aside. My work is in patois. God bless people like Louise Bennett, who have paved the way to let patois mainstream. So you got to be authentic to what you're doing, and just shut aside the naysayers and just go for it.
Okay, let's talk about, you made a really good point about you're a Jamaican, you're living in the States. Obviously, when you're talking to your American friends, you can't talk like this.
No, can't.
Because they will not understand you. Drive about half a mile more. How much is half mile, please? We don't talk like that to these people because they don't understand. Did you think about the fact that your book would be segmented primarily to just a Jamaican audience? And how did you feel about putting out a product that you're passionate about, knowing that it would just have a certain niche that's reading it?
Yeah, but I will caution you though. Big up to a lot of my readers are actually American and Caucasian. At that, there are people that visit the island enough to the point that they understand patois and they read it. If you look at my Facebook page, probably half of it is white people, right? So I know. I mean, to be honest with you, I did think that it was going to be obviously Jamaican. They're going to be my audience. But I was surprised, because a lot of people will say, I'm interested in your book. And I look at them and it's in patois, and they're like, no sweat, I can read this stuff. So I was nervous about that. But at the same token, again, it goes back to the authenticity that I spoke about, that I could not deter from that, because it is a hilarious collection of sketches. And you cannot get any funnier than talking in the Jamaican dialect, You put this thing in English and it loses its flavor. And only Jamaicans know how we do it, right?
Exactly.
And there's some people, thankfully, that appreciate this stuff outside of the Jamaican community. So I'm learning that as I go along, that I'm having people from Sweden sending me emails. Are you kidding me? Sweden? And I'm flabbergasted. I'm like, oh, my cousin sent me this book or a link to this book, and I'm Swedish. It took me a long time to read it, but it's funny, and I'm just thrilled that I did not use that as a deterrent to write it in patois.
Awesome. Now we know about patois. Based on where you're from in the island, you talk patois a certain way, and you also maybe spell it a certain way.
Right.
Ratted, R-H-A-A-T-I-D, R-H-A-T-I-D. Talk about editing. Did you work with a Jamaican editor?
Yes, definitely.
Okay.
And again, I have to big up my editors. It's hard to write in patois, and again, they had to make sure. 138 pages, make sure every single ratted spelled the same way, every single uno and you, and they did a tremendous job. And when I wrote it, one of the things that I stressed to them when we were teaming up with how it's going to be written is that we were going to use phonetic spelling. So no crazy spelling that looked like German language, We're going to stick to, real, true phonetics so people can read it off the page with ease. And some words don't need to be patois.
Yeah.
If I'm saying, yeah, man, not true that. True is spelled T-R-U-E. There's no need to patois the word true.
Right.
So we spent a great deal of time to make sure what don't need to be patois. New word, right? We'll put a new word in here, so, like disprudence. No word, no gossip, right? So, and then those that we write in patois, we make sure that it had a phonetic spelling. But they did a tremendous job to ensure that every single page, those patois words were consistent. So
awesome.
Big up to them, Amri and Nancy.
Big up to the editors. I think I met one of them recently.
Yes.
And I have to share a quick story. Joelle was one of the special guests at Jamaica Nationals Association's 49th Independence Gala, which was held August 13th at La Fawn Plaza.
Yeah, sure.
And, the crowd was a little cold-ish, as Jamaicans go, prior to her coming on stage, and she started reading, and people were like cracking up,
Yes,
ridiculous.
funny
And we're gonna let her do something live before, but I just wanted to read something that is said on the back of this book, so you know what you're getting when you read it. It says, "Soh We Do It is a hilarious collection of character-driven sketches that represent expressions and mannerisms intrinsic to the culture of Jamaica.
Yes.
The characters are Jamaicans, and the various stories depict how Jamaicans partake in playful and comical dialogue in different situations." This book is split up in 4 parts. Talk about that.
Yeah, and this is all my vision too, because this book is unique, so I had to come up with the old concept for myself. So I broke it down in 4 parts so that they're relatable. The first is mix up and blender. And from I say mix up and blender, everybody know what they're getting.
Right.
Lots of drama, and people that mix up and talk about people business.
Yeah, right.
And so there are 3 stories per series, and the first story is takes place at a wedding. Enid and Earl got married, and you know people have something to talk about our frock. And it actually features a pastor that is ungodly, you know, written from a gangster perspective. You know, normally you expect a pastor to be reverent, but this one come here, yo, Massive and Crow, ready for start the wedding, you know. So it's written from a gangster perspective, and then it moves on to another sketch, which takes place on a bus trip to Negril. These people, they decide to charter this old squeaky country bus to go all the way to Negril. They made it, but, you know, the show flop out in the long run. And the third story, it takes place at a factory. There are a group of employees there. Some of them get along and some of them don't. And big fight bust out in the place. And, you know, just lots of drama in that series. And then it pivots into the GPS navigation series, all right? And in the back, it shows your GPS. The concept behind that is how we give directions in Jamaica. I was driving and listening to my GPS, and it's so polite and nice. But this Jamaican GPS, just picture it giving, you know, directions, you know, yeah, man, boss around the corner, roll around the corner. Yeah, when you see Miss Matty shop, you see one big old posters, you know, right, that's on the vehicle there, right? And also it engages the drivers in dialogue, and very rude dialogue. You know, don't ask it to recalculate. It will tell you 2 bad words. You know, it's not a polite GPS at all, right? And a lot of my readers love the GPS. So, and then it goes into a dread response. The series is called a dread response, and it's based off the Rastafarian speech patterns, the I and I's, the you and you's. So this dread, in our term Jamaican, ignorant. You know what I mean by ignorance. You know, I'm dark. Him feels that everybody oppress him. So when he goes to the interview with that mindset, he fails in all the interview, and he's not a happy camper and that's a very funny series. And then last but not least is a fall series. Now this is interesting because you don't expect chickens to talk, but in this book I feature 2 chickens clashing, you know, yard fowl and foreign fowl. And poor foreign fowl come to Jamaica, and she not used to walking on gravel and then something there because she used to be in a cage here and reared for human consumption. But you know, for yard fowl, them walk all about the place, them bottom peel out, them rough, them eat anything, you know, cockroach, ants. Yeah, foreign fowl can't deal with that. She want her special diet. And those 2 fowls trade environment, and it's very funny stuff. And that concludes the entire book.
Awesome. Now, I have to ask you, because, you know, growing up in Jamaica, we experience a lot of these stories. Is there any story in the book that's a personal story of yours?
Actually, no. But I will say that some of the characters I draw off people that I have observed growing up. Like you go on the bus. You know, I used to take bus to school. Like there's an argument going on in the bus, and you just popping up because just the way how people argue. Hey boy, move your head big like breadfruit. Right. And so I draw upon those kind of conversations. There's nothing more funnier than just everyday encounter with Jamaicans. I mean, you ever go on YouTube and just and it's just pure laughing. So I draw upon those people that I watched growing up. Even the dread, I knew a dread like that. But not all dreads are ignorant. Let me just say that. Yeah, I draw upon those people.
Awesome. Well, I want to thank you for bringing this book. I mean, this thing, Like I said, I was reading it. I was in stitches. I'm telling everybody, please get this book.
Sure.
This book is actually a good way for you to learn patois because it's written as a story. So you have no choice but to kind of follow and stuff. And I want you to read just a little part of it. Actually, let's do this together. I just opened the book, and as you would have it, there's this thing with Rosie in it.
Yes.
And Desmond.
Yeah, you did, yeah.
So we're going to read one little page, and I'm going to test out my acting skills right here on Pep Talk TV with Joelle. So you will be Mr. Will Dog, and I'll be Rosie. And we're going to start with right here. This is the narrative.
Right.
The female employee involved, dressed in a tight-fitting blouse and with both top buttons unfastened, exposing her double D-sized breast, storms into the big boss's office. She angrily pushes the office door and opens and places her voluptuous body in front of the boss's desk. And the female is called Rosie. And that's me. Mr. Willow Dog, me need to lodge a formal complaint on a rotten teeth boy when a top come round my station and a touch up my breast them. If one not fire him for sexual harassment, me I got charged for bomb beat murder up in here today now.
Whoa, calm down, sexy Rosie. Is who walking around and feeling up your titty them again?
Look at Mr. Willow Dog. Please don't style me as sexy Rosie, cause me and you on a size, you hear me? The frozy boy, what me I talk about is that big lip mongrel named Desmond.
First thing, please watch your language and show some manners. And don't call me no Willa Dog. Address me as Mr. Will Dog. I am your superior.
You know what? I'm going to stop right here because this is too hilarious. And we don't want to give this away. So, Joelle, you're such a treat. So, can you tell the folks how they can get more information on you and where they can find this wonderful book, Soh We Do It? Where can they go?
Yeah, well, my publishing company is Akipod Publishing. It sounds long, but it's Akipod and publishing one word. And my website is www.akipodpublishing.com. You can get signed copies by using the buy now button. It said buy now, not buy tomorrow or buy later or buy next year. It said buy now. And I can send you a signed copy through that. Or if you feel comfortable going through Amazon, and you can click on the links to Amazon or BarnesandNoble.com. They are not in the bookstores. People go to Barnes and Noble and say, can I get Soh We Do It? And the poor people them, I try type. How you spell that? Right. So no, it's actually online only, and it's on my website. All the links are there.
Awesome. Well, I know there's one more thing that we can expect from you, another book. What's the name of that book, and when can we expect that?
Oh, yes. Thanks to the readers. I kept on reading reviews online. They were like, can't wait to read another book. I'm like, wait a minute. No, I never planned to do another one, you know. But anyway, I actually said, you know what, why not? The next one will be called Soh It Go.
Soh It Go.
And it will be released in December. Right now, the cover is being worked on. The writing is done. So it's going through the process. And by December, we're ready. Wood for Christmas gift.
Yeah.
Yes, can do for Christmas.
Yeah. Awesome. Thank you so much for coming
Thanks
to the
for
show.
having me.
Again, this is Joelle C. Wright. Her book is Soh We Do It, and you can look for Soh It Go. Stick
Me never know me would have fallen at them trap. I just last week, my friend not tell me about that. See they now, bragadam. Imagine, trap. Feeling exhausted, coming home from work. Red, Babylon pull me over, me them want search. Red, them say me don't have no rights, me can't even say a word. Red, them artists, them cool like a ice, them woulda turn you in a dice.